Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gadget Garage. Today I'm out here at Phoenix's South Mountain with the newly released Segway Myon e-bike, and we're going to see if this thing has what it takes to make it up to all three lookout points today. So if all goes well, it's approximately 17 miles up and back down the mountain again. The three lookout points we're targeting today are going to be Dobbins Lookout, Buena Vista Lookout, and then finally Gila Valley Lookout at the very top. And if we get to all three, we're looking at approximately 1,900 feet in elevation gain. Now, a couple details about this e-bike. Number one, it is a 48 volt system. It's got a 500 nominal watt motor, which, get this, can crank out up to 1,500 peak watts of power, as well as 85 Newton meters of torque. So that should be more than sufficient for anything that we're going to come across today. In terms of the battery on board, it is a 15.42 amp hour lithium-ion battery, which is good for 722 watt hours of capacity, which, according to Segway, should be able to get us approximately 80 miles of theoretical range. And the reason why I say theoretical is that those figures are typically based on very controlled factors, usually a 165-pound rider cruising around on completely flat ground, minimum stop and go, 75-degree Fahrenheit temperatures, basically treadmill conditions. So in reality, you're likely to get significantly less range, but I will be putting this bike through a couple different range tests, so stay tuned. Now, if you haven't caught it already, I did cover this bike in detail at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and it was the test ride during that show that basically sold me on this bike. And so as soon as I got home from that event, I went ahead and placed my order. Now, as of the filming of this video, I don't believe they have stock on their website, but a lot of local dealers are starting to pick these up, and so I actually ordered this from Segway LA, and it arrived at my house within about 4 to 5 days in fantastic condition. Now, one of the nice features of this bike is the fact that it comes with hill climb assist, as well as a whole host of other tech features. And essentially, hill climb assist on this bike, it uses a gyroscopic sensor, which measures the attitude of the bike. And so if you're riding around on completely flat ground and then all of a sudden start climbing an incline, it'll detect that and it'll automatically increase the power in a very smooth and efficient manner. That way, when you're riding uphill, it almost feels like you're riding on completely flat ground. So that's a really interesting feature that I've never seen on any other bike that I've tested before. And if you missed my first impressions video, check it out in the description below, because I test that out extensively. All right, so right now we're coming into what I call the shadow of the mountain, and it's a bit of a grueling hill climb stretch. But once we get through this tough part, we'll have a little downhill section, then we'll be right up to climbing the mountain again. All right, looks like we made it through that tough part here. In a moment, we'll have a little bit of relief. But so far, this bike is handling this climb without issue. You know, I am currently in the highest level of pedal assist and gear 6, so if we need it, we can always drop down gears. Speaking of gears, this bike does come with a 9-speed drivetrain. It's got a Shimano Q's derailleur, so a step above the Tourney and Altus we typically see on a lot of e-bikes under $2,000. And it's also got electronic gear shifting, which is a really nice feature on this bike. So this electronic gear shift is actually controlled by this right control pad here. You got a little toggle switch. So you toggle it up, you go up a gear, you toggle it down, you go down a gear. And what's nice about this setup is that it doesn't require your typical long derailleur cable. It's actually got a very short cable built into that servo unit that mounts right next to that Shimano Q's derailleur. And over time, you don't have to worry about cables stretching as much. It's much less pronounced, which means less adjustments over time. And what's nice about this electronic gear shift is that it gives you the ability to fine-tune it directly within the Segway app. So you can calibrate that thing with a couple clicks of a button in that app. And so far, I found the shifting to be very smooth and very precise. I didn't have to make any kind of adjustments out of the box. It was beautifully configured. And, you know, riding up and down this mountain, you know, shifting through gears, I haven't had any kind of issues so far. So we'll ultimately see how this holds up over the long term. All right, another little hill climb here. We'll drop down a couple gears on your left. Now, I did say I'm cruising around in the highest level of pedal assist. I can drop it down a couple levels, and that would be perfectly fine as well. The reason why I don't is that I'm talking nearly continuously in this video, so I need opportunity to catch my breath here. But right now I am one shy of the highest level of pedal assist. One thing that I'm noticing about this bike is that when you're, riding around on completely flat ground, it unlocks more levels of pedal assist. So yesterday, when I was doing my city ride, I counted 12 levels of pedal assist. But on this steeper kind of hill climb that I'm riding around on right now, it's got 6 distinct levels of pedal assist. And so the bike seems to be recognizing the terrain that we're riding around on, and 6 levels of pedal assist makes a heck of a lot more sense than 12 in these kinds of riding conditions. All right, we are entering our first lookout point. This is Dobbins Lookout, and mileage-wise, we are currently at the 5.8 mile mark. So it's about 9.4 all the way to the top of the mountain. Here's a quick view of the Phoenix Metro. You got downtown Phoenix out there, Piestewa Peak, Camelback Mountain, Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. And there's Tempe. That's where we did our kind of city ride yesterday. Anyways, beautiful views as always. Here's a quick look at the Myon. Let's see how we're doing battery-wise. Looks like we're sitting at 72%. So far this thing's doing a fantastic job. All right, so we are now on our way over to our second lookout point, which is the Buena Vista Lookout. It's a couple miles from our location here. Some of the roads we're going to be riding on are going to be a little bit on the bumpy side, but good news is that this bike does come equipped with a front fork suspension. It's actually an RST front fork with 80 millimeters of travel, and it does give you the ability to adjust preload, and it's got a preload adjustment on both stanchions, so that's very nice. And it's got a nice kind of ergonomic tab that you can adjust it instead of those crazy hard plastic tabs that just rip into your fingers, in colder environments. I mentioned this in that city ride, but that's definitely a place that, Segway could have saved some money on. They could have put a generic off-the-shelf front fork suspension on here, but they didn't. They went with an RST front fork, so that is really nice. With that being said, this is a hardtail e-bike, so there is no suspension in the rear. But for cruising around on well-paved surfaces, hard-packed dirt, basically city environments, it's going to do just fine. If you're curious about the sensor on this bike, it does have a torque sensor that also measures cadence and also includes a gyroscopic sensor for that kind of grade detection for the hill climb assist. And power delivery on this bike is very smooth, very efficient, and pretty much instantaneous. And so I would have to say that this is one of the most responsive torque sensor e-bike setups that I've ever tested on this channel. And it's part of the reason why I picked up this bike. Everything about it is nice and smooth. Clear on the right. We're making that right turn here on our way up to our third lookout point, but let's get the Buena Vista Lookout first. If you check out Segway's website, you'll notice that this bike only comes in a step-through configuration. But the good news is, if you want a step-over frame, they do sell an optional top tube accessory, which you can install. It'll help improve rigidity and all that fun stuff. It'll also give you some additional cargo carrying capacity. Just keep in mind that it'll support up to 11 pounds and no more. But it will help with rigidity of the bike, which, to be honest with you, I haven't had any issues with that so far. All right, we are pulling into Buena Vista Lookout. More gorgeous views out here. I'll take a quick little pit stop here, show you what I'm seeing. Here's a quick look at Buena Vista Lookout. Another perspective on the valley. What I love about coming out here, it's always nice and quiet, very peaceful, especially coming up here on Sundays. So I was mentioning this bike has very smooth operation. So right now, I'm going to put us in the highest level of pedal assist, and I'm going to gently apply pressure to these pedals, and it's going to get us going nice and smoothly. There's nothing jerky about this bike. When you look at like a cadence sensor e-bike, for example, if you're in the highest level of pedal assist and you start pedaling, that thing's going to take off like a rocket. Not so with this bike. So regardless of what level of pedal assist you're in, When you apply pressure to those pedals, it's a nice, gentle takeoff. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to put pressure down to the pedals, you can absolutely do that, and that power will kick in. You'll feel the full 1,500 watts and 85 Newton meters of torque, but you know, nice, gentle takeoffs. You just put some light pressure on those pedals, and you're off to the races. Through some of these bumpy sections, you can definitely feel this front fork going to work. And like I said, if you want to kind of soften or firm it up, you've got that preload adjust, so you can basically tailor it to your specific needs or riding conditions. In terms of the tires on this bike, they are 27.5 by 1.95 inches, and they have kind of a mixed terrain tread to them. So if you're gonna be riding on, you know, hard packed dirt or these city streets, it's perfect for those conditions. Now keep in mind, this is not designed as like a trail bike or anything like that, so don't get that mixed up. They actually have a sticker on here which states it's really designed for paved surfaces. But if you've got some nice hard packed dirt, you should be good to go. Now, right now we're coming up what I call the ridge. This is a particularly steep section. And on South Mountain, you know, the grades range anywhere from 3 to just shy of 12%. And this is one of the steeper sections here. I am in the 5th level of pedal assist. So if we need the 6th, we've got it. I'm also cruising around in gear 8. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that down to 7. Oh, we'll go down to 6. Shifting is nice and crisp. We're coming up over the ridge and no problem at all. Got a little downhill relief here, then we'll jump straight into another hill climb. One of the cool things about this bike is the fact that it comes with a bunch of tech. And so it is a very app-focused riding experience, so keep that in mind. If you don't like apps, this might not be the bike for you. But with that being said, you can pretty much customize every aspect of the ride experience. And so you can go in there, you can enable different security features. It's got a built-in alarm. It's got GPS tracking. It's got Apple Find My. You can go in there, switch your class levels, which, by the way, out of the box, this does come as a Class 2 e-bike with a top speed of 20 miles an hour in both pedal assist and throttle only operations. But if you want to live life on the edge, you can unlock Class 3 mode in the app. There'll be a little warning section for you letting you know you want to make sure it's legal in your area. But it's a California Class 3. So pedal assist will get you up to 28 miles an hour, though I tested it at 26. And there's no throttle operation in Class 3, so keep that in mind. It doesn't have the traditional Class 3 that I'm used to seeing on a lot of these electric bikes. All right, this is another steep section. We are in the highest level of pedal assist and gear 5, and we're cruising through this beautifully. In fact, I can drop us down to pedal assist level and we'll still be fine. All right, last little steep section here, and we are making it up beautifully. So when you hear 500 watt motor on this Segway, don't scoff at it. This thing can definitely crank out the power. All right, folks, we are home free. We're coming up into our 3rd lookout point, Gila Valley Lookout. There's our sign, South Mountain Preserve. And we officially made it. On your left. All right, folks, check it out. Beautiful view of the East Valley. If you follow any of my trail rides, I ride around by that mountain range out there, Santan Mountain Regional Park. Beautiful place to take all-terrain bikes out for a little cruise out in nature. But beautiful day. Got a lot of folks out here riding their regular bikes up here. It's hard work, I'll tell you that. Not for us though on this Segway. Now taking a look at our battery, looks like we got 58% battery remaining, and mileage wise we're sitting at the 9.5 mile mark. There's another quick look at the Myon. Now one of the accessories I do have installed in the back is the rear facing radar, so coming down the mountain, if somebody's coming up behind us really quickly, that will give us an indication with some lights here on the inside portion of these control pads here, letting you know somebody's approaching. So that's a really nice feature. I don't think it quite replaces having a mirror, so I always recommend having something like that, which I don't have on the bike right now, but I will be installing one here shortly. But I really do like it. It is plug and play. I think it's like 99 bucks, and it bolts onto the back. It's pre-wired for it, so you just plug it in and you're ready to rock and roll. All right, time to start heading back down the mountain. This is the fun part. We basically cruise almost the entire way down. Now coming down here is going to give us ample opportunity to test out the brakes. So as I was mentioning, this bike has dual piston hydraulic brakes. It's got 180 millimeter rotors both up front and in the rear. So that should provide plenty of stopping power for us today. Segway did announce one of their other bikes at the Consumer Electronics Show. That is the Segway Myon, which is a single-speed bike, but instead of a geared rear hub motor like this bike, it's got a direct drive motor, which gives you some pretty interesting features that you don't typically see on electric bikes. And one of those is regenerative braking. It's also got downhill assist, where the bike is automatically applying the brakes to help you control your speed. So all of that is on the Segway Myon. Not so much this Myon, but what this Myon does have is that hill climb assist, which basically flattens out, light to moderate inclines to the point where it almost feels like you're riding on completely flat ground. So at no point during this ride today have I had to like stress myself out. None of it was like a strenuous hill climb for this bike. Now, if I take a non-powered bike up here, that would be a completely different story. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I would make it up. And so that's what I always say about these e-bikes. They are great equalizers. They allow you to go out and, see things that you might not have otherwise have seen, and so if you're on the fence about getting an e-bike, it doesn't matter which one. It doesn't have to be this one, be any e-bike. I'll tell you right now, it's 100% worth it. I've adventured out into places here in Arizona that I didn't even know existed, some of them in my own community, So it gives you a great opportunity to get out there and explore the world. I got to be careful talking, back there I almost swallowed a bug. Little windy road section here will take us back up the ridge. So right at the top we had about 58% battery remaining, and I suspect we'll use very little on the way back down today. All right, coming into the ridge, we're in pedal assist 5, gear 8, I'll drop us down to gear 7. And we made it right up. There's Camelback Mountain straight ahead. One of the nifty features on this Myon is the security lockout feature. So in the event that somebody steals your bike, you can hop into the app and remotely lock it down. That way they can't use the bike or the battery. And if you end up finding your bike, which I hope you can, this bike has got dedicated GPS as well as Apple Find My, then you can go through the unlocking procedure so you can continue using your bike again. Now keep in mind, this bike does have some features that may ultimately end up in a subscription service. This bike does have this 4G connectivity, so that is a service you're gonna have to pay for. I can't imagine Segway would offer that for free forever. It's like, here's a free cell phone plan for your bike. I don't think so. But they will have those premium features, but out of the box, that function is free, at least for the first year. It's also got an airlock function, so it uses the app as kind of like a proximity locking and unlocking device. And so when you approach your bike, you get close to it, you put the bike in the upright position and it'll automatically unlock for you. So in terms of security, they definitely got it ironed out on this bike, more so than any other bike that I've tested. And I believe a lot of those features are also available on the Segway Zyber and Safari. I tested those out at 2025's Consumer Electronics Show when they first announced them, and I haven't, had the opportunity to test them outside of that event. But what Segway's kind of head of e-bike engineering had mentioned is that those two bikes are essentially concept bikes that came into production to kind of show the full capabilities of what Segway can do in the e-bike space, and then they're bringing a lot of that tech into, more lower cost options. And I'm not going to say this is a low cost e-bike, it's $2,000, it's still pricey. But if Segway does with e-bikes what they did with electric scooters, we should see a lot of those features trickle down into lower cost options in the future. So right now I got a little indication on the control pad that somebody was behind me. If you check out my city ride video, which I just published, I do demonstrate that in a couple different parts of the video of that radar functionality in action. Beautiful view of the Estrella Mountains straight ahead. Brakes, by the way, are doing fantastic. No concerns in that department. Bump up a couple gears through this section here. But anyways, from this point on, it's all downhill, folks. So I'm going to stop talking and let you enjoy the ride down. Beautiful sounds of nature. All right, folks, so as you can see, this bike did a fantastic job coming down those windy mountain roads. Very confidence-inspiring ride, and these brakes, fantastic. No concerns in that department. Plenty of stopping power. Gives us a really good ability to control our speed coming down that thing. Now, if you are going to be riding this bike around in the city, it does have these turn signals here. So if I engage the right turn signal, you'll see it's visible both up front and in the rear. Pretty bright, so you shouldn't have an issue with people seeing that both during the day and at night. All right, folks, so we are pretty much at our starting point here. I'll download the data, show you how we did today. If you're curious how I got this bike here, I did mount it to my Hollywood Rack's rear bike rack. And this bike is well within the specs for that rack. With the battery and everything, the bike weighs 73 pounds, so I always pop that battery out whenever I'm transporting it, and so it's well below the 70-pound per bike threshold for that rack. All right, folks, so there you have it. That was our ride up Phoenix's South Mountain with the Segway Myon. On today's ride, we went 17.63 miles. We had an average moving speed of 16.2 miles an hour. We hit a top speed of 27.3 miles an hour. Elevation gain 2,005 feet, and we were cruising around for a total of 1 hour and 14 minutes today. So as you can see, this Segway Myon had no issues making up to the top of South Mountain today. Power delivery was on point. It's got a very natural ride feel to it. I'm very happy with the responsiveness of the torque sensor on this bike. Gear shifting was nice and crisp, and then coming back down the mountain again, brakes did a fantastic job. Let me know if you have any questions about this bike, any comments. Happy to address those in the comment section below. And if you do want to pick one of these up, I will include an affiliate link in the description, so when it does become available for purchase on their website, if you use that link, it absolutely helps support this channel and keeps the wheels moving on future reviews. I'd also check with your local dealers, because a lot of dealers are starting to get these things in stock. Now, I will be publishing a bunch of other videos on this bike, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, I do have my Consumer Electronics Show recap, my kind of city ride, as well as my test ride at the CES event. So if you want to check those out, those will be linked below as well. As always, thank you so much for tuning into Tom's Gadget Garage. We'll see you next time.